Yeah, hi there everyone. It's Boyce here again, Brent Boyce from FarmWise in Tasman on the top of the south. Just an update on some of the practicalities that have come up with using flexible milking programs such as our good old 10 and 7, 9 and 7 and 3 and 2, etc. Now we all know how well these milking times work for the cows, the people, for profit and productivity. However, they also have an effect on some of the services and the industries that we work closely with. Two of these things that spring to mind are herd testing and AI mating. And today I'd like to talk about how we can work in better with our herd testing systems. I had the opportunity to tour the LIC Herd Testing Program Centre in Hamilton last year. This is a highly efficient and well-run business that does significant animal health testing as well as normal milk productivity testing. It has a structured team that has strict timing and coordinated processing parameters. Now, as the architect for our flexible milking regimes like 10 and 7, 3 and 2 and 9 and 7, etc., the staff running our herd testing businesses, they're very keen to keep me informed of what regimes are impacting with their businesses. And yes, it has had some serious impact. Now, these impacts are mainly around a few things LIC not been informed of with the milking regimes, like farmers wishing to change their herd testing regime due to align better with their milking frequency, and wishing to herd test or change shed setup time on the mid to late morning test. Now, from what I understand, it's quite a challenge. And when you change the dates of the herd test due to the scheduling, it upsets the systems at the laboratory. And of course, there's the added challenge of the human factor of getting the herd testing staff on farm if the farm needs to change the date. Essentially, it becomes a logistical nightmare. So, as flexible farmers and flexible milkers, we need to adapt our milking regimes and our milking times so we can fit this in better and work in a lot closer. Now, here are some simple rules that will help us work in with the herd testing. Now, with this, there's a table at the end, and so you can actually just check out yourself as well. Number one is advise LIC if you have or are planning to move to flexible milking part way through the season, and see if you can do it in advance of your herd testing, just so we know what's going on. Rather than request a date change, one thing we can do is just tweak the milking regime around the time of the herd test, and that's the easy bit. And it will give us more accurate results from the herd test as well. Now, for a single test or a double test, cups on the morning is required at 7 AM at the latest, regardless if you're milking once a day or twice a day that day. This is important as it will ensure you're not milking when the herd test technicians are setting up your shed, and again the next day when they come to collect the samples and equipment. For a double test, PM AM, you will need to milk twice a day on the evening of the PM test, of course, and at least once a day on the morning of that AM test. And remember, you need to have the cups on by 7 AM at the latest. If you are doing a double test, and in your milking regime you're scheduled to milk once a day on that PM test day, so it's a Thursday on 10 and 7, you'll actually need to milk in the evening on that Thursday day. So it's going to have to be twice a day on the Thursday as well. So on Wednesday on 10 and 7, you milk twice a day just like normal, and you'll do the same on the Thursday and again on the Friday. It sounds like a lot more milking, but it's only just one more milking. Regardless if you're doing a double or single herd test, the easiest way will be to milk 3 twice a day days. And this allows options for herd testing. It will also ensure you're not milking during the time the herd technicians are coming to your shed. Be aware that with our flexible milking, and depending on your testing regime, the herd test lactation totals and factory totals may not correlate well. So to get the greatest accuracy, it may be best to go back to twice a day for those 2 or 3 days. Then you simply revert to your normal milking regime in the following days after the herd testing. With all of this, it's important to acknowledge how flexible the cows are. They will cope with any changes with barely a blink. As farmers, we need to be aware that our milking regimes can have quite unexpected consequences for our service industries. It is great that we can do flexible milking, but we also need to adapt and adopt our practice to best fit in with the services we use. So hopefully we can work together to get some flexible thinking with the herd testing and dovetail it into our flexible milking regimes. Now, there's been a tremendous uptake of our flexible milking regimes, people, profit, productivity and pleasure in less milkings. I've really appreciated all the contact from so many of you. I've having untold phone calls, emails, Facebook messages and Zoom meetings from around the country, and a significant number from around the world, from so many countries. Now, as we learn more, I'm doing my best to try and feed it back to you all and to send out these learnings and information. So please stay in contact and keep me updated with all the weird and wonderful ways you folks are making things work. So all the best, and we'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.